What's up, y'all? What is up? Okay. Wait a minute. I'm just waiting for. All right, there we go. I do this all the time. All right, we are in. We are in. We are live and in living color. So today I have a special guest today, and we did you as you can tell from from the thumbnail. I will be having interview. Like I said, Thursdays we're doing Thursdays like talk with Casey Thursdays, that girl Casey Thursdays, So I'm happy to have a special guest today. But before I get there, y'all know I always start with like a little warm up about what's going on in the media or what's going on, period. So why don't we get started real quick? Hope everybody's been having a good day. Thank you for coming. Please also hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. That really helps, definitely with the algorithm. Y'all know I beg all the time. Please hit that like button. All right. So hold on. Let me just set myself up a little bit better. All right, cool. We are in. So I when I was turning on the computer to get myself set up, I happened to look and I see breaking news: Islamic State leader operating in Somalia, Bilal al-Sudani, killed by U.S. military forces. Why? Like I don't understand why. Just so we know, and I haven't been able to focus on this. Um, the Biden administration has been like having operations going on in Somalia for like a while. You know what I'm saying? For a while. But we've been talking about Ukraine so much that I've not touched on that as much. But anyway, let's see what's going on here. The U.S. military has killed senior Islamic State leader during an assault operation in northern Somalia. So, what's up, Red Sings the Blues? Thank you always for your support. Thank you so much. Like I can't even like say thank you enough. um, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who announced the operation, identified the leader as Bilal al-Sudani, a key operative facilitator in ISIS global network. This action leaves the United States and its partners safer and more secure. No, it does. Just be clear that it doesn't. Okay. Um, and it reflects our steadfast commitment to protecting Americans from the threat of terrorism at home and abroad. Austin said in the statement, when they talk like that, at home and abroad, and just these broad terms. I'll have to look into this guy, but they didn't do this to make us safer. Okay, about 10 of Al-Sudani's ISIS operatives were also killed in the assault, which was authorized by President Joe Biden. Yeah, I bet, and took place Wednesday in a mountainous cave complex in northern Somalia. Said senior administration. Okay, so and they're speaking on the conditions of anonymity. Military officials had prepared for the possibility of capturing al-Sudani, but a response by hostile forces resulted in his death, the official said. There were no casualties among American service members or civilians, the official said. Wednesday's strike is the third by U.S. forces in Somalia since January. Yeah, they keep bombing Somalia, and I need to do more research on why they're bombing their reasoning and the actual reason. Okay. And there you go. And that's really it. That's the answer of what happened. For now, we'll stay tuned and we'll figure out what's going on with that. And so why do I even like get into this current affairs, right? I mean, excuse me, this world affairs, right? Is because so like I've never cared before. Before 2020, I didn't pay attention to a lot. Like I mean, I knew a little bit, I knew enough, but I just like was going through life thinking that everything was just a-okay and just mostly believing headlines wherever I would see them. And then of course after 2020, when I saw how we could just be lied to about such serious things, and I said, well, they just pretty much lie about everything then for lack of just 99%, right? Anyway, and then of course the war in Ukraine had me already like, wait a minute, things don't sound right. So now I pay attention. So a lot of times what I'm noticing is these American establishment members, Lloyd Austin especially, will tell you that like a country is doing something bad or being the aggressor, but in fact, it's America being the aggressor. So, like, and then they'll go and they'll kill somebody or they'll do this thing, and oh, we made everything safer, and it's like all I can do is take your word for it, but I'm pretty sure that's not what you did. I'm pretty sure that's not. I mean, what am I going to find out later? That this guy probably wanted to privatize, African money or something, and didn't want to use the Federal Reserves anymore, so you figured you just go ahead and kill him. I don't know. So I'll have to do um I'll have to do I'll definitely have to do a history check on it, my research on it, because I don't it's the same thing. And we're living in a time right now where they want to control everything, especially the money. And you have BRICS, which is basically the other faction of this multipolar leadership thing, with Russia and China and everything, and they're coming out with their own currency for oil, and there's a lot of countries that want to join BRICS, even though I feel like it's getting ready to be infiltrated by Lula over in Brazil. But, I have to do research on that too. But the fact is, a lot of people are stepping away from America because when you take American money from the establishment, you have to do what they tell you to do. They push their Western culture on you. I mean, and this is why we have this conflict going on in Ukraine right now, this proxy war where we are fighting Russia because Russia says that they don't want our Western culture. Um, it's just the reality of the situation. So and then it's like they told you for 4 years I had to hear, um, we're gonna go into World War III, because of Donald Trump. And that was around the time when I was definitely not a Trump voter, supporter, or anything. But I remember kind of thinking, like, by 2018, I kind of was like, I don't think that we're gonna go to war. I was it no, it's BRICS. It is. It's BRICS, BRICS. Um, but yeah, I was like, I don't think we're gonna go to war, because like this guy's been president all this time. Like I keep hearing all these bad things that are gonna happen, but I haven't seen anything bad that happened. And in fact, a lot of bad things did not happen. And when you go back and you hear these leaders talk about him, they liked how diplomatic he was. He did a peace through strength kind of thing, but he also understood that you're not supposed to have a bunch of enemies globally, right? Even though he wanted to do America first. But yet here we are, and so but we got him out, right? We saved the world, no more mean tweets, right? But then here we are. The adults are back in the White House, but the very year that Joe Biden came back to the White House, I remember I saw Israel and Palestine, going through their thing, and saw bombs flying, you know, in April 2021. I said, yeah, you could tell a Democrat is back, because the establishment is war hawks, but Democrats definitely put their like they go off to make sure there's some sort of war that they could sell weapons for. You know what I mean? And to make their pockets, swell up their pockets. And here we are. And here we are today, right? Where we got a thing in Ukraine going on, but we're killing people in Somalia. It's like, yo, dog, like what is going on? This is not about, again, making people safer. It's not about some sort of defending democracy or anything that's virtuous. It's definitely not about that. There is something about power going on with it, and I'll do my research, and I'll definitely get on it. Thank you so much. Yep. See traffic on here. I'm about to definitely introduce you. Oh, right. Calvin, thank you for coming through, guys. And please hit the like button, guys. Even if you just come through real quick and like, oh, I got to go do something, hit the like button before you leave. Okay. All right, cool. I should just have a sign posted like, hit the like button. No. All right. So, anyway, without further ado, I am so honored to have my next guest with me. He is a hip hop extraordinaire anarchist with a Latin flair, from Miami, named CTRAFFIK. Okay, who makes awesome music. His music is great. It has purpose to it. Like I said, if you saw the promo, you'll hear the my promo. What I said, like his music has purpose, and he's all about free speech. I just love his message. He's connected with the culture and the clarity, and connects with people. And we need more of that in this movement. So without further ado, I am going to bring in CTRAFFIK, y'all. Hello.
Hey, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. You got me loud and clear?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you.
All
You
right.
sound good. Yeah.
No, I got the nice
Hello.
mic. Well, welcome here. That girl Casey show. You're doing awesome. The Inconvenient Truths. So thankfully I was a fan of the show before, and I appreciate you're doing your thing, adding your voice to the conversation, and we're trying to be like truth seekers and stuff, and I'm thankful to be here, and and thanks for the introduction. I've been doing hip hop now for 2 decades, and I started way back in high school. I was in Miami Central High School here in Miami, and I was just doing like freestyles and open mics, and just people showed me so much love when I was doing my open mics that I never stopped doing hip hop,
Mhm.
and as a creative person, you just got to find your message, and just spit from the heart, and I've been on this crazy journey. I didn't start off as an anarchist. It was a crazy journey. I ended up there by accident, by mistake, but as a truth seeker, you just keep learning and studying, like what you're trying to do right now, to try to study the truth, like why are these things happening in foreign conflicts? What's the real reason? And as a truth seeker, you never stop being curious, and you're going to be led down a certain path. And I think on a thing that you and I have in common is we have a Christian faith, a Christian background that also was a great foundation to help us understand this crazy world, because the Bible goes back thousands of years, and one thing you learn is that there's nothing new under the sun. Empires have fallen, societies have collapsed, people have been witness to the collapse of society, and a collapse of things, and it is troublesome, it's painful, and you don't know what to do, and we feel like lambs, we feel like children, like we don't know what to do in this collapse. But you go into the scriptures, and you'll see wisdom in there. You'll see the recorded history of other people that went through this same cycle, and
Mhm.
hopefully we learn this wisdom, and we can survive these crazy times. This is crazier than anything I've ever seen before.
Hmm.
And I'm thankful your voice exists, and you're here, and you got your channel.
Well, I'm thankful that you came through. I'm honored and like humbled by these lovely words that you have said. And like I said, I really appreciate you coming through. And this is what we're going to be doing on Thursdays. That girl Casey Thursdays. And so I wanted to ask you just now when you said that you went on a journey and then you found yourself to be an anarchist. Like, can you kind of summarize some of that journey? Like, do you mind like telling us a little bit about it?
Sure. As a Colombian, Colombian immigrant here in Miami, I was actually born in Miami, but I was made in Colombia. So if I'm thinking of getting a tattoo that says, made in Colombia, assembled in the U.S., machine wash warm, and my blood type, and like a really useful tattoo. If you find me laid
Yeah,
down on the ground, you can like know what to do with me.
that's actually
Uh,
cool.
that's that's my next tattoo, I think. Uh, you might need that. But Catholic, I was raised Catholic, so all the immigrantes were all Catholics. I think in the Catholic Church, they taught me, I became anti-war because of the Catholic Church. It gave me a good upbringing, and I did all my sacraments. But unfortunately, I went to all the inner city schools here in Miami. I was at the Miami Central High School.
Mhm.
Um, Being at a government school, you think that government is a solution to everything. So I started off, and my political experience was being a socialist Democrat.
Mhm.
I thought that was the solution. I thought that was good. And But the Democrats, they let me down. It was like I needed them to break my heart to like stop following them. But at the time, I didn't
Mhm.
like the Republicans either. I thought the Republicans were the devil.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
funny how like you live long enough to see the sides. People switch sides,
Mhm.
and the Bush crime family. I was totally against the Bush crime family, And it was the 2006 election when the Democrats won the House. The Democrats took control in 2006, and I busted my ass here in South Florida to help the Democratic candidates get elected. All the Democratic candidates in South Florida had me like I was on first name basis with them. I was doing the whole political thing, like canvassing, going door to door. Um, but then the Democrats won in 2006, and they didn't impeach Bush. They didn't stop the Patriot Act. They didn't do anything. They didn't do jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
state, the evil continued, and then I knew that the Democrats were worthless. But I was not gonna be a Republican either because they were the fucking they were the villains at the time, you know.
Yeah,
But now
yeah,
you see how they switch sides. Now
yeah.
now the Republicans are like, you know, fighting back, but I don't trust them. So
I don't blame you. Like
I don't
I don't blame you because even though like I call myself a Republican, like I'm a registered Republican, but like people are people. I just like their policies, but people are people. So I think anywhere somebody can be corrupt. But I will say that this party, like when I used to do research about, I did a video for like a while ago about HIV and how the homosexuals at that time, like they had to fight because I saw a lot of stuff happening with Cove about you got to be tested. You got to be tested to get on a plane and to do this and to do that. And I was like, they tried this with HIV, and they, even though these people were dying, and they still were like, no, y'all not testing, y'all not doing all this testing just for me to go to a restaurant. And I have to say, it's because of them saying that is why we don't get tested for HIV just to go to the market, whatever. Right. But what I was saying was people back then used to fight more. But when I was doing the research, most of the people that was trying to come up with this authoritarian like law of like, they were trying to say like, y'all need to be tatted to say, if you're positive or not, and all this other, like these crazy bizarre solutions they will call them, but edicts, that they were trying to push. They were conservative Republicans, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted nothing to do with this party back in the 80s. And the reason why, again, I tell that story is like
mm-hmm.
because then I saw, well, of course, because everybody was afraid because people were dying, right? So then people think that that's like that makes it okay to now become a tyrant, and that's not true. And so
Right.
when I saw with Cove that like they were doing things like that, but now it was Democrats, like because I live in a blue city, so I live in a blue state,
Philly,
and
yeah, PA.
our governor, yeah, he was our governor Tom Wolf was like insane, like shut down the businesses, and you know what I mean, like, and people were still trying to open up their businesses, especially the people out in like Adams County, like real Pennsylvania, not
Mm-hmm.
like little Philly.
Philly.
Them people in Pennsylvania, they were like, nah, we opening up, like literally fighting with the cops, like where they would come and lock their stuff up. They had to break the chain. And I'm like, this is insane. So me seeing that, and then I thought about that. But then when I seen how those Republicans were, but I'm like, but now it looks like this party is it's different because like people are realizing a lot of people I think are sad, the Democrats made them sad at some point or upset, you know what I mean, at some
Yeah,
point. And yours was nice and early though. Like mine didn't happen until
I started it.
2020. You said like around 2006.
2006,
Yeah.
2006. That's when the Democrats basically, broke my heart. They destroyed me because I was a Democrat and I was a socialist at the time. I thought that was the solution. And to see that they didn't punish the Bush crime family for the war in Iraq, and they didn't overturn the Patriot Act, which is still today in our the year of our Lord 2023, the Patriot Act still oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Uh wow, they're
Mm-hmm.
useless. All of them are useless. That was terrible. It was super terrible. And that was the time when I knew I couldn't continue. If I had any integrity of my body, I could not continue being a Democrat. And then I just kept reading and being but there was a candidate, one of the candidates in 2006 here in South Florida, Frank Gonzalez, was running as a Democrat, and he didn't win, but we got really close. He
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to Ron Paul. He introduced me to Murray Rothbard. So I started reading, and even my music, the music that I've made, my music is almost like a timeline of my awakening,
Mm-hmm.
because So then after 2006 and in 2008, Obama is elected, and that's it. The Bush crime family goes home scot free. All the crimes
Mhm.
against humanity, everything they did wrong, nothing, no punishment, nothing. I was
Mhm.
shocked, and so I wrote a song called "Bush Crime Family," and I did a. And back in the day, they had a thing called Flash animation. It was a software to make cartoons or whatever, Flash. So I made
Mhm.
the video for Bush Crime Family. I put it out. That was my first viral video. That was the first time I ever got death threats. That thing went on
What?
Facebook after a few years later, like after 2009 or whatever. It went on Facebook. My homie Alex Vidal from the Freenots, he helped promote it, and all of a sudden I think the Facebook version of that video is still on Facebook, and it still
Mhm.
has the hundreds of thousands of views and 10,000 plus comments. That thing went crazy because Bush crime family, I was telling the story of the Bush crime family. I was like,
Right.
I'm not going to let these people just get off scot free and just sail into the sunset. I
Right.
told the whole story of everything they did, and the funny thing is that now that they finally are getting the revelations that the CIA was involved in the JFK thing. I had it in the
Mhm.
song. It was in my song. So now that
Mhm.
song is aging like fine wine. And then they had
Wow.
another song that I wrote called T Pain, not based on the rapper T Pain, but it was based
Mhm.
on Thomas Paine. I was reading a lot of Thomas Paine. I was studying the American Revolution. I was trying to go back to the source. I was trying to go
Mhm.
back. So I knew I didn't like Bush. I knew that the Bush crime family was evil, but
Mhm.
I didn't want to be a partisan that didn't like Bush just because he was on the other side. I think that was too weak. I needed to really understand ideology and understand politics so that I understand why is Bush evil. Why
Mhm.
are Bush and Cheney? Why are these people so evil? And I had to go back to the American Revolution. Thomas Paine gave me, studying the story of the revolution and Thomas Paine really gave me a lot of insight. So I wrote this song called T Pain. I put it out, and one of
Mhm.
my it took one of my buddies heard that song and he said, "This sounds like Anarchy." And when he said that to me, that's when I finally realized I might have crossed over into Anarchy. See, I
Mhm.
didn't consciously do that. I was just studying and writing music and just going through the motions of fighting tyranny, and I knew things were wrong. And
Mhm.
it's been an awesome journey. But then as soon as I realized I was an anarchist, more anarchists kept finding me. And then, like I said, the Free Knots was a group put out by Alex Vidal. It became a movement. We ended up going to Anarchapulco for 5 years in a row. We had a
Mhm.
blast out there. We opened for Immortal Technique, Killer Priest from Sons of Man, Killer from Wu Tang, Ari the Rugged Man. So to be an anarchist rapper and to travel the world, perform. Thanks to Kingdom Come, I performed in Asheville, New York. I performed in a bunch of places, and I get to spit my message because it's just
Mhm.
like real lyrics, the raw beats. You
Yep.
get to be yourself and spit a message, and it's been a wonderful journey. But it happened by accident. Like I said, it wasn't like I chose to be an anarchist. It's just like I kept studying literature and reading the authors that speak liberty and speak freedom. I don't want to be in this gang fight between left and right. There's so much corruption of the language, and it is like middle school,
Mm.
and people get caught up in that middle school fight, and they hate their own family members. And the 2020, the shitdemic, was one of the worst episodes, one of the worst manifestations of this political fight. The shitdemic was like they turned it up to 20, to level 20,
Yep.
and it was really sad. It was devastating. I have the funny thing, and I feel bad about this. One of my best friends that I've known since like elementary school, he's the person that introduced me. He's the first person I ever heard say the word libertarianism.
Mhm.
He's the first person to say libertarianism, and I'm sorry to say this, um, but he basically disowned me and declared me dead for not taking the jab. And I'm
Wait a
like,
minute.
that's really bad. And I'm thankful I didn't do. I'm
I'm
still.
thankful you didn't too. That's good.
He
Whew,
declared
right?
me dead. I'm still not dead. I'm sorry to tell them. Look at it's 2023. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Woo!
like,
It got everybody. It
thank
got
God, right?
everybody. It got
Yeah.
everybody. It was like a disease, man. Like, I mean, shit. This is really bad. The shitdemic was one of the worst, 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 worst. But the thing is that the Patriot Act was on the books in 2001, right after 9/11. So the
Mm-hmm.
Patriot Act, as ugly as that was, and all the NDAs, they were really ugly, 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 ugly. Violations of civil liberties, but they were just sitting there, but they weren't using them yet. And the whole time I'm thinking, as the years go by, I'm like, when are they gonna use them?
Mm.
They're sitting there, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that theory about like boiling a frog. You just don't just don't do it at once because they're gonna rebel. You put it on the books, and then slowly, slowly, slowly
Yeah.
boil the frog. But then the shitdemic and the shitdemic, they went crazy. But even though I've never voted for Trump, and I'm not a Trump supporter because I'm an anarchist or whatever. But still, I think Trump was the reason they cranked up the nut. They cranked it up for him because he is a
Definitely.
shitbird. He's a big shitbird. If you want to get into the Trump talk, he is a giant shitbird, and they had to crank it up a notch for his ass because I have relatives overseas. I know a family in like places like Italy, Colombia, and these
Mm-hmm.
folks all wanted Trump to win because they felt like
Mm-hmm.
him winning would have been like, okay, the world is not going crazy, even though he's not the best choice in my opinion. But yeah, they had to crank up the crazy to knock him out,
Yeah.
and it was really sad, and it's really sad. Like, we think we're so advanced, we think we're so advanced, we're better than like the Middle Ages, but we're not. We're a bunch of animals. We're a bunch of savages. We think we're better than the Nazis and World War II. We're horrible. Human nature has not really changed, and we think we're so advanced. But we just saw one of the ugliest episodes in the shitdemic, and it's really sad to see it. I'm thankful, a lot of us made it through it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're still here.
I mean the fact that though, like, I'm thankful to be, because it's still, to me, is something that's looming, like, just there, like, all right, we just gonna put it right there, and just, it's always looming in my mind, right? But for this chapter of it, I'm thankful that, well, you definitely have been already, like, well informed, right? So people like you definitely knew what was up from the rip, because look at all the stuff you saying about the Patriot Act. Like, I knew a teeny bit about the Patriot Act, but again, like, I was like, oh, this stuff is horrible. But then you move on, like, especially when you were a girl, like, I don't know, like, you're just like, oh, I'm going shopping with my friends. Like, you just move on with life because you think life is cool. Like, you get used to your routine. Like, oh, girl, it's Saturday, let's go to the mall, and I'm in school. Yay, I passed school, and like, your routine is happening. But I know for me, I thank God though. 2020 for me was definitely that year of clear vision. So I didn't come up with that on my own. Like, this lady that I was talking to, she was like, 2020 vision, you got 2020 vision. I was like, yo, that's true. Like, it's true. But you were either gonna come out of it more informed and eyes wide open and can never be shut, and probably frustrated every day now after, or you were going to be even more brainwashed than you were before. And like you said, that tyranny is like that fear. You're right. Like, we are animals and savages. Is like, the difference is, to me, is like, you got to answer to God. And I'm not saying what religion you have to be, but you have to answer to God, because that's the only way you're going to have accountability. Because if we answer to ourselves, that's not, we're going to just do whatever we want, right? But if you answer to God, like, even looking at 2020, what they did, you got to mask up. You got, first of all, my spirit didn't even take to all this covered mouths, but you just know, like, I'm a child of God, and God says we have free will. No man can tell me that I have to do something that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a lot of that, especially with me being a nurse too. The minute I
Mm-hmm.
heard 2 weeks is slow to spread, I was like, wait a second. Like, I was like, what is that? Did you, oh, I thought you froze. Yeah,
No,
like,
just listening.
I just was like, nah, because before COVID, we had Ebola, and Ebola, I was, then they said, oh, Ebola came to America, but then all of a sudden it dissipated. You didn't hear anything about it. So when I heard about COVID, I was like, they're gonna try to make it seem like it's coming to America. I'm like, I already know America gonna try to be a part of it, and
Mhm.
then it's gonna be like 5 people, and then we'll never hear about it again. And then it was like 2 weeks of slow to spread. I was like, what? Like, and what I didn't know is that this was the thing that was going to change everything. And like you said, even about the presidency that year, Trump, like I think this vehicle, this thing is the reset of everything. So they got anything they could get out of it, because we know that this establishment in this country, they go to other countries and start, they fund coups to
Mhm.
remove a rightful president. They do it everywhere
Mhm.
else, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, all right, you're Colombian descent, you're Colombian, and like I'm Haitian, right? So I think it's like being best of both worlds, because, like, all right, we live here,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we we know the Constitution, like we love, like okay, we live here, right? And we know the opportunities of living here, right? I was born here or whatever, but like we know what America is, and we could say like,
Mhm.
yo, like I love my home. Okay, that's fine, right? But you also know what America is, like the establishment, because you know
Mhm.
what the establishment has done in your country at some point, has
Mhm.
done in your country. You know what I mean? Your
Yeah.
blood country. You know what I'm saying? This does not mean that I want America to crumble, by the way, too, because the citizens didn't ask for this, right?
Right.
The people at home who going to work trying to make a living, they didn't ask for this. But our establishment goes to countries, fund coups, start little mini wars, and the next thing you know, oh, this president had to go or died or whatever, and then they
Mhm.
put in their puppets, and they get to do whatever they want in that country. So my thing is, if they're doing it over there, what was
Mhm.
so different about 2020 here?
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
they're they've practiced this so many times. They're like, they could write the book on it. I'm sure they have. You know what I mean? So I know that this is what was done here. Not just even with COVID, all the Black Lives Matter protests, because Black Lives Matter organization is nothing but a communist Marxist organization. So of
Mhm.
course, where they at today? Where they at? Yeah, right. So we see it. And
That's
so
true.
it all it all like it was just like everything hit me like a ton of bricks, like in my face. My eyes opened up. I said, oh, word. Like, oh,
Mhm.
they could do it like that. Okay. And I lost, and like you said, and that's, like how your friend was like, he wrote you off as dead and all. I had family
That's
members
sad.
who, but they didn't, yeah, family members who know me all my life. But when the jab came, and I was like, yeah, I'm not taking that. Like, I'm a nurse, and I'm telling you, I'm not taking it. Oh, you think, what you think? You smarter than Fauci? Well, what kind of nurse are you? And I'm like, yeah, like, and I'm like, I just saved you, and you knew for 30 something years. Like, it's me. Like, what? And things are not the same, especially. And then when they found, definitely when they found out, like before the jab, when they found out that I voted for Trump,
Mhm.
I had like my closest friends, we still like, but some of my family members was like, "Oh, she's weird." That's fine, but
Mhm.
I'm weird. It looks weird to you, but I'm not doing this democratic thing. So, and then now look at what they're doing with the kids. And so that's why when I heard your song about Wish for You, I was like, gosh, listen to this song. Like, it sounds so promising, and like it sounds so bright, and future, like people with kids, a future, giving kids a future. And then
Positive. Yeah, positive
yeah.
future for the future. And we performed it, it was the Free Knots. We performed it in Acapulco last year for the first time, and that's what we feel like, because we all have children, we're all grown, and that's why the music has evolved. And we're involving our kids in the situation. The homie Alex Vidal from the Free Knots, his son is a drummer and MC. He's like the next generation, and we're passing that down. And going back to what you're saying, it was crazy, like you're saying, like when I was saying the Patriot Act was sitting right there, and I knew they were about to do some evil, and like the way they do the coups overseas, we're conscious of what they're doing overseas. Like they can do it right here at home, and they did it at
Mhm,
home. We know
mhm,
and you have to be a student of history. And if you're going to study the American Revolution, if you're going to go back to 1776, you also have to know about European history, because that's the only way you can understand why the American Revolution is what it is. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a joke that I always say. I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people that, like, whenever you go to a store or you go to anywhere and there's like a rule on the wall, we say, you know, every rule has a story. Like, you know, no parakeets allowed in the store. You're like, who the hell brought a parakeet into the store? You know, every law, every rule has a story. Like, some dumbass did a thing, and so, but the thing is, look at the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, all 10
Mm-hmm.
of them, like, there's a story behind. But the story of the Bill of Rights not only is with the Parliament and King George and all of them, the violations that they
Mm-hmm.
did for a while, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also the wisdom that they had about European politics, European history. A lot of kids don't know about the Magna Carta. You know, there's so much history to know. Like, this is the saddest thing. And when I talk about the American Revolution and European history, we can also talk about the Bible. Now, Bible is 5,000 years of history. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything has happened already.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mm-hmm.
is really, we're going through the shitdemic. And if you need wisdom, the wisdom is in our fingertips. Like, we're not,
Yep.
you know, we cannot just stay ignorant. And the more we learn, the more we can be prepared. I was prepared for the shitdemic. I was like, I was very well aware, making a lot of music. I was expecting something like this, but not as bad as this. I didn't expect it to be this bad and this sad, and to see people turn like the way that people turned against each other in their own families. It was
Mm-hmm.
really sad. I was like, when you study the Holocaust and you're like, that was really bad. We're never gonna do that again. We can never do that again.
Right.
We can never do that again.
Yeah.
Force medical stuff on people, and
Yeah.
no, we're too good for that. We
Right.
know, no, no, no.
Nope.
Human beings are dumb as hell. Like, that's human beings are stupid, and that's sad. That's really that was the biggest eye opener to me, to see people lose their minds the way they lost their minds, and you know, it was a rough. That's why I call it a shit demic. It was a shit show,
Yeah,
and one
absolutely.
and one of
It's,
my one of my patron saints is Jim Leahy from the Trailer Park Boys from so you ever heard of the Trailer Park Boys? You ever watched that?
no, I'm
But Jim
waiting.
Leahy is the trailer park supervisor, and he had all the shit isms. And to
Uh-huh.
me, like, when Trump was debating Hillary, I wish Jim Leahy would have been the moderator. He would have really taken control of that. That he would have been the best moderator. You know, rest in peace, Jim Leahy.
Okay.
But that's why he would have called it the shit demic too, because it's like, that's the only thing I call it. It was the giant. It was a giant shit show. And I don't know if you want to get into the whole Trump thing, because that's, I think they took they did it for him. Um,
You could talk, you get it to say like do you but do you like when you say you think they did it for him, like I think I think they used it on him, but when you saying you they did it for him, I feel like you read something somewhere that like make you like feel like it, or
it
it's
was just,
because
I saw
you
it just
know.
from my witness, from wisdom. Like, if Hillary would have won, I don't think they would have pulled off the shitdemic. They would have waited a little longer to pull off the shitdemic. But to me, like, from like I said, like, going back to, like, you know, despising the Bush crime family, and just, you know, like, to me, like, American politics between Democrats and Republicans has been like world wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like world wrestling, like, oh, they're fighting each other, and everybody gets roped in. They get sucked into the mess,
Yeah.
and people pick sides. But the truth is, they're not really enemies. So what happened was, when Trump got elected, Trump is a reality star. Trump got in there.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe Trump is that he was a suppository, and the American politics is a big giant colon.
Yeah.
So you put a all of a sudden, when I see Obama and Bush holding hands,
Yeah.
when I saw former enemies, right? Before
Mm-hmm.
Trump, these guys were enemies. They hated each other. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, Trump gets in there. Now the former enemies are all against Trump. I'm like, I'm watching this. I'm like, holy shit. So all
Yeah.
the shit was coming out of the. He was like a giant suppository. Even though I'm not a giant fan of his, but I appreciate the fact. Like even today, he's like saying, "Look, these tanks in Ukraine are a bad idea." The fact
He's
that
the only one
I'm
saying it.
anti-war all day. Anybody who's anti-war, they I'm a supporter of anybody who's anti-war.
Right.
But to see all of a sudden the entire American political system coalesce against him, I was like, wow, they broke ranks. They broke
Yeah.
the facade
Yep.
of the WWE fight.
I
They
did. Yeah. Like. Yeah. 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 Like they came out of character all the way. Like,
what?
whoa, wait a minute. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a reality star, smashed through and
Yeah.
got in, and they were like, they thought they had a control of the entire system because really prior to Trump, the election actually happened in the primary. So
Hmm.
they would control as long as two stooges on either side was.
Yeah.
Then who cares about the general election? Like they got their
Yeah.
stooge. It was like John Kerry versus Bush. They who cares about the election? Just get out the vote. This is the biggest
Right.
election of our lifetime. Just
Yeah.
go. No, it was already decided in the primaries.
Right.
The
Right.
primaries are so shady. Like the way they shafted Bernie so many times.
I
Listen, and it's
know.
a funny story. Funny story. And I keep reminding people, Biden and Harris did not even win their primaries. They're a bunch of
They didn't.
flunkies. When they put
Yeah.
those two flunkies
Yeah.
in charge of their ticket, I was like, either the Democrats are planning to lose or they fixed it. How do you
Yeah.
get these two flunkies that couldn't win
Right.
their own primary?
Right.
That was great, and they're both a bunch of flunkies. I think they're about to get rid of Biden and then put Harris in. They're not controlling anything. The
They're
control
not.
is not even there. No, the people don't have no control. That's why these elections in the federal system, that's not our control. It's a giant distraction. It's a giant
Then what
reality
happened?
show.
But let me ask you then, because 2016, something went wrong in the Matrix. Something
When
glitched
Trump
that
crashed,
was
yeah,
not supposed to happen.
yeah,
Like,
Trump wasn't supposed to crash the way he did,
yeah,
but
like how, I guess is it that many people who really voted for that man
yeah,
where
hmm
their system crashed on them? Because nobody, he didn't even think. I don't. When I see his pictures
yeah,
after he won, he's not smiling. He's like, like,
yeah, yeah.
holy
I think
shit, that makes like,
no. What they're saying was that Trump was supposed to he was plotting on his media empire. He's a media guy. He was on NBC.
mm,
He had the highest rated show.
mm,
He's a reality guy. He was already planning a whole media situation. And and the same thing happened to Ron Paul back in the 80s. Like he said, I'm gonna run, and his wife is like, what if you win? He's like, I'm not gonna win. I'm just like speaking my piece. So it was like one of those situations where he just by surprise won. But the thing is that okay, so they had 4 years to fix the system. And I've been watching like rigged elections for a while because here's the thing that bothers me. When I was a Democrat in 2000, Bush, the shenanigans with the Bush election here in Florida with the hanging chads and the Secretary of State was his person. Shenanigans. 2004 Ohio with the voting machines was the first
uh,
time voting machines flipped an election for Bush. All the Democrats were mad. I'm like, where are all the Democrats that were mad that Bush stole these elections? Where are they for election integrity? Like
mm-hmm,
nobody has integrity. Nobody. This is like WWE.
right,
Politics is shady. I can't trust anybody. That's why it's. That's why eventually I ended up that's why I ended up being an anarchist. That's why I'm looking for alternative solutions that don't involve politics and voting and
yeah,
all this crap because it's a giant facade and it's evil. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. And as far as the agora, anarchy, the agora is the marketplace. Anarchy is without rulers. We're looking for alternative solutions that are permanent solutions
right,
because Trump was there for 4 years and he did certain things. As soon as the Biden people get in, they wiped everything away. It's gone.
yeah,
That's not a
yes,
permanent solution. That's like we wasted our time.
yeah,
Permanent solutions are here, local solutions. The solutions are within yourself, your own education, you're raising your
yeah,
children, community solutions. We have to change our focus. I think it's a giant distraction, like just gets us angry. We fight each other on social media, blah 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 blah. We are distracted and being led astray, and we don't learn how to do our real permanent solutions, spiritual
yeah,
solutions.
yeah,
It's a giant distract. We have to turn off the machine, turn off everything, just turn it off, meditate, pray. You know, I think we gotta do. We have to see that we're being conned. It's a giant con. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, it does feel like that because it is a shame because like okay, the man he was president for 4 years, and like you said, he did do a lot of things. But then the Biden administration came and they took it away because he did a lot of things, unfortunately, through executive order, because Congress sits on its behind and just acts like they're helping the people. They're not representing anybody, right? And so then you have a guy who comes in and he's just like, well, then I'm gonna just write this stuff down and do it because, and no other politician would do that because they want Congress to keep sitting on their thumbs and act like, oh, we're trying to fix this and we're trying to fix that, but knowing damn well that they're not. And then, and then there's just money sloshing around everywhere that, and there's just this big, like, I don't know, it just keeps us like fighting for the same. We're back, even like a thing like the border. Okay. And then I make this clear. Of course, I don't have a problem with migration. My parents migrated here, but 2 million people in 1 year coming through the border, that's a bit much, right? Okay, so, but we're back to the border disagreement again. Well, because everything got reset, and now we're back to the same arguments again. It's like the same arguments again, and it is tired. It is tired. It's tired, and it's just going to keep being the same thing. The reason why, though, like when I look back at it, like with him, like you said, he was a reality star. No matter how much money he had, he wasn't one of them. So I think that like people was like, "Yo, man, let's." You know what? It's crazy because when I, and this was before I was like, I was like ideology, like, because I, I was, like, cause I'm a black woman and black is this and black is, like that kind of person. So when somebody said to me was like, well, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump. And I was like, why are you gonna do that? And she was like, I don't know, maybe something to shake up the system. I totally get it now. Like 4 years later, I'm like, I see why a lot of people was like, yeah, man, let's send somebody over there that we don't. And people hated Hillary. Her own base hated her though. Like
Hmm.
Democrats,
Hmm.
real Democrats don't like Hillary. People were voting for Harambe, and they were voting for
Oh
Hillary.
yeah, 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 yeah. Takes up for
Remember,
Harambe.
like, remember, yeah, they voted. I think it was like something thousand votes for Harambe. I was
Hmm.
like, this world is crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway, but here we are today. But what you said is true. It's like we do have to look more locally. Like, all right, we
Hmm.
know that these
Within
globalists,
ourselves,
yeah,
yeah, I love
within
it.
ourselves. But like,
Yeah.
even all right, the globalists, they are controlling a lot already, and
Hmm.
even with the meat, right? So
Oh
you know
wow.
what I mean? Like, right, like, you hear, well, we're running out of cows, even though they keep dying. We don't know why they're dying, and thousands of them are dying, but we're running out of cows.
Mm.
So we might have to genetically modify a cow that's not gonna have X, Y. So you're cloning cows now, and you want me to eat that. And so then this is when I'm like, we need to find farms, and especially I live in Pennsylvania. I'm like, I need to get connected with like an Amish farm that does like a monthly food program, and they have some out here, and some of them been raided by the FBI. You know what I mean? Because they
Yes,
know,
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
crazy. Like, and then like even all right, one of your videos, I think it was called Vietnam. yeah,
Oh, that was a 2020 video. Yeah, that
yeah,
that
that
was
was
that was
yeah,
like the Black Lives Matter. Yeah, that was crazy though. I mean, I
right.
mean, I do feel. I mean, living in Miami, I've been accosted and things. So yeah, that
Nah,
Vietnam video is crazy.
I totally get it because like there's a part of me. All right, I live in Philly, and
Hmm.
I am not
Philly
gonna
is
lie.
crazy. Philly,
Yeah,
wow. Philly's
Philly
wow.
needs Philly need. Well,
Philly.
I was telling
They
people
got
because
like
I live.
armed guards at the gas station.
Yeah, at the
Philly
gas
is
station, right?
wild.
I don't live in that part. That there really is this little spot that's like the best kept secret, and I just tell people like I'm good where I'm at in the name of God. I'm not gonna be here forever, but in the name of God, I'm so good where I'm at. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that Philly, unfortunately, can use more cops, right? Yeah, and this is what it is, right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because these people, because I work in the prison, and these people come in and they're like, they're not scared of the cops. They know the system. They're not scared of being locked up either. And this is different. People, these young kids are not like the old heads who used to get, who was really trying to make a way or do something, and they kind of had some street rules like we don't shoot women and children or whatever. But no, these kids are they call themselves savages, they call themselves demons. Okay, and they tell you they're not
Mm,
afraid of anything. Okay,
mhm,
so I understand that side of it. Where unfortunately now we do need, the agents of the law, but I also saw what cops were capable of in 2020 when cops are going to businesses and telling the business you got to shut down the business. Like, yeah, you are an agent, you are a foot soldier of the government,
mhm.
regardless. So I can understand, like, because there's anarchists I've heard say, like, you know, don't, I get it. Like, don't trust the cop. I'm not gonna sit here and be like defund the police, but I get it because one minute, they protecting and serving, but the next minute they're carrying out the edict of the
Oh
state.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So I don't even know how I got all the way to that part,
No, but I
but
mean that's a really important thing to talk about because I think there's like the cops could do good and bad, and I think the cops have just been robots. And what happened is like this happens in like in Africa, in Europe, China. You see the same videos, you see the same harassment, you see the same enforcement, and like look, the cops in Africa, the cops in Detroit, the cops in Colombia are not being trained in the same program, but they're acting the same way. And one of the worst things about this, what was led to this, is the war on drugs. The war on drugs has told them that every citizen is an enemy combatant.
Mhm.
So it's not like the Andy Griffith show. It's not like Mayberry. It's not like the cops are like, hey, these are my neighbors. No,
Mhm.
when the cops go out there to work, they're trained that everybody is an enemy combatant.
Mhm.
Everybody can kill them. So that's how they approach. So and that is when we go back to war, like when we say like all these wars, how do you start a war? You say you indoctrinate the population to say the other side are not even human beings. They're
Mhm.
enemies. They're enemy combatants.
Mhm.
So that is, to dehumanize the other side. Whereas I can tell you some good stories about cops where way before Colorado made weed legal, like in like northern counties of California, the sheriff would say, we're not enforcing the marijuana laws here. So if the sheriffs of your county were to say, hey, we're nullifying federal laws, the feds are like banning guns and the feds are doing this, that, and the third, that is not right. the
Mhm.
sheriff the sheriff of your county can just easily say, we're not enforcing that, we're nullifying
Mhm.
that. That's the Ninth and 10th Amendment of the Bill of Rights, of the Constitution, the
Mhm.
nullification, going back to local solutions. And then you see like the governor of Florida is nullifying a bunch of the stupidity. Governor of Arkansas, like certain governors are saying, look, the feds are out of control. This doesn't apply here in this jurisdiction. Then we
Yeah.
can go down to the county level, the city level, the sheriff level, where they can say, look, that's a stupid ass law. It's nullified.
Right.
That's the real American system. When you study how, the American Revolution and the Articles of Confederation and the original Constitution, you go, this is the system that they created. It's supposed to be more locally controlled. The
Yes.
feds, the feds are not supposed to be this powerful. The feds are not supposed to be this important. There was actually a time in American history when who is the president was a trivia question.
Mhm.
Like, who's the president? Like
Mhm.
Benjamin Harrison? I don't know who the frick is
Yeah.
who the hell's the president? The only
Right.
time you saw the feds was the post office.
Right.
That was the
Right.
original system, but I don't know if you want to get into the Constitution. The Constitution was
Get into
designed to
it all.
fail. It was designed to fail. The Constitution, the
Um,
fact that we have today in 23, this tyranny, this giant, monster. The Constitution was designed to give us this giant monster.
you
And I'm
think
sorry,
so?
I'll shit on the Constitution all day long. Trust me, I will. Because the only good part of the Constitution is the Bill of Rights. And remember, the Bill of Rights was only that was the negotiation between
Mhm.
the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists.
Mhm.
I can
Yeah.
get deep on this. I can
No,
like
go ahead. I'm like, listen, because a lot of
this.
this, of
This
course,
is
I
real.
learned,
This is
and then
real.
it is real. But like, and then I learned a lot of this growing up, and then I dumped it
This
because I
is
didn't use it. Of course, now I'm trying to catch up on everything. So,
this is
and on the
real
channel,
shit.
I like to talk about everything. And this is stuff we need to be talking about. Like we need to know
Yes,
these because
this will be
where
good.
are we and where are we going? Yeah.
This will be good for
So
people
Miss,
like to understand. Like we like me. We're both immigrant families. We're both new to this country, and our own home country's got issues. But we're here in the USA. But here's a really interesting thing, really super interesting thing. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution does not have the same people signatures.
okay.
The signatures,
Okay.
there
Yeah.
it's so when they say that we have founding fathers in America,
Mm-hmm.
United States, it's two fathers. Okay, so the
Okay.
people. So if you're gonna compare the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution, like who signed either word, there's like a really tiny list of who
Mm-hmm.
signed both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that signed both was Benjamin Franklin, and that's another.
Okay.
That's like a funny story. Um, so the Constitution. So you're talking about coup d'état. You're talking about how the United States is doing coup d'états all over the world.
Yeah.
The Constitution was a coup d'état. The
In what way?
Constitution itself was a coup d'état by itself
So,
because the original idea was they were going to ratify the Articles of Confederation.
okay.
So they went to Philly to ratify the Articles of Confederation, and when they got there, Hamilton and his Federalist people were already had the Constitution. They already no, we're doing a Constitution. So here's the evidence. Rhode Island, back in the day, they used to call Rhode Island Rogue Island.
Mm,
Nobody from Rhode Island signed the original Constitution. As soon as the people from Rhode Island showed up at that convention and they realized we're not ratifying, we're not changing the articles, we have a whole new system. They left. They got on their horses and they left. True story. They just got out of there. And then half of the people from New York left too. They're like, nah, it's bullshit. Get out of here.
mm-hmm.
New Hampshire was a country. So we're going back to the days when like things were way more, decentralized.
Right. Right.
So the Constitution was a hustle. So what they did, they knew they couldn't pass the Constitution because the Constitution without the Bill of Rights is a piece of shit. Is a total 100% giant piece of shit. And my evidence that it's a giant piece of shit is look at today's federal government in 23
Mm-hmm.
by the Constitution. So anyhow, Jefferson, they had to get Thomas Jefferson out of the country. They sent them to Paris to be the ambassador to France. So Thomas Jefferson shows up by a boat, and Ben Franklin didn't even know he was relieved, but Ben Franklin is old as hell. So Thomas Jefferson shows up, and Thomas Jefferson's like, hey, I'm the new ambassador. And Ben Franklin was like, nobody told me. Nobody sent him a letter. He's like, sure, but Ben Franklin is a diplomat. He's an entrepreneur. He's old dude. He's a statesman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, sure, I'm all right. Okay, cool. I need, and anyways, he wanted to go back to America to see how the new experiment was going. How's the new country going? Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, he shows up back in the United States. He goes to the Constitutional Convention. He shows up. They give him a round of applause. They're like, oh shit, Ben Franklin is here. Mm-hmm, Ben Franklin, he checks out what they're up to. He's like, this Constitution, he didn't like it. And I don't know if you remember, there's a really important quote when after the Constitutional Convention, after they figured out the Constitution, a journalist was asking Ben Franklin, what did you guys come up with? Is it a monarchy? Is it what did you guys do? Do you know this story?
No, yeah. I probably heard it and dumped it. So I'm listening like in very
okay. So this is true quote. So Benjamin Franklin is leaving the Constitutional Convention. A journalist is like, what did you guys come up with? He did famous words. He said, a republic if we can keep it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
A republic if we can keep it.
Yeah.
He knew it was a setup and it was bullshit. And then
he's like, if we okay, I get it. I see what you mean. Yeah.
No, the original Constitution is giant piece of shit. The Bill of Rights is what everybody loves. Everybody that loves the Constitution only loves the Bill of Rights.
Right.
And that was the anti-federalists, the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. Those are the ones that love liberty. Hamilton and those cocksuckers, they did the Constitution. They wanted a strong central government. They want a central bank. Those are the fuckers responsible for all the bullshit. I'm like,
And so, all right, so
This
like
is
this,
true
I mean,
story.
and this is like, no, I believe like the way you just
Look it up.
you're
Everybody can
explaining
look it
it.
up.
So where, yeah, where is the source? Because now, of course, when I'm done, I'm
No,
gonna.
just look them up. Look up the story.
Hmm. I am,
Um,
and because I want, and it's like you learn so much stuff, and you just don't keep it, and then you get distracted by other things.
Now we're here.
And yeah, and a lot of people do. Like, look at all of this. You're saying, like, the regular normie doesn't know like half of, you know,
Don't know
like,
these shenanigans. No, it just this is the only thing I gotta ask the people to this is the only thing I gotta ask from them. Look at who signed the Declaration and look at who signed the Constitution. Compare the
mhm,
names. See how many overlap and what happened to them. What
right,
happened to so the people who signed the Declaration of Independence were signing a death warrant. That letter went to the King of England saying, "We don't have a king." That
right,
was death
right,
sentence. That was a giant death sentence. But then it was a free country for a few years. 8 years, 9 years went by during the Articles of Confederation. The only thing I can say that was wrong about the Articles of Confederation was that what did the Constitution improve from the Articles was the Constitution turned the United States into a free trade zone.
okay,
You can travel from state to state. You can sell from state to state. When the
right,
internet came in the 90s,
mhm,
it finally challenged that interstate thing. And now one of the saddest things in the world is that they're charging sales tax on internet things. And that's an
okay,
official
yeah,
thing. That
yeah,
changed everything. But it was a glorious in the beginning of the internet was you can sell from state to state with no taxes. So
hmm,
that was an improvement. There was a few improvements that the articles, if they would have ratified the Articles of Confederation and just put in like make it a free trade zone and like did a few things, it would have been a more freer country. But the
hmm,
Constitution had so many holes in it. The one of the giant holes is the Commerce Clause. The Commerce Clause is a giant hole, giant. Like you can be a farmer growing like stuff on your farm
hmm,
and the feds could get involved because you're affecting interstate commerce because you're growing wheat and then they can like tell you because of the wheat you're growing in Iowa is affecting like the prices in Ohio.
wow,
There's like case law and the shenanigans has been going on for 200 years. And there was a actual French dude, I forgot his name, but there was a French guy that came here in the 1800s before the war between the states. He came here to study the American experiment,
hmm,
and even he said this is going to last 100 years at most because this is all going to collapse. So there, if you go back to the 1800s, there's a lot of people that Ben Franklin said, "A republic if you can keep it."
yeah,
They were calling it out. They've been calling it out. They've been calling it out for a while that this is like it was a shady setup. And
and you right past the Bill of Rights. I haven't. Yeah, like you got me
what the
here.
hell
Like
is this?
word.
The
Yeah,
Constitution.
like, but past the Bill of Rights, forever, I don't get into much of anything else about you. Right, and that is the part that we all like adore, which I
Everybody
still,
likes.
I
Those are
said
the
for you.
troublemakers. Those are the bill. Those are the Declaration of Independence. The ones that want to be left the fuck alone. Like those are the ones that propose the anti-federalists. Those are the ones that put up. And there was almost one of the Bill of Rights. Almost one of them. One of the amendments was almost like no standing armies. That would have been crazy. No standing armies during peacetime would have been an amazing amendment. They shut it down. But now we're talking about the empire. We're talking about all the shenanigans that the standing army is doing right now. Ukraine, no standing armies during peacetime would have been amazing for this sort of
Right,
situation.
right,
But that's
right.
but the only reason you can have an amendment that says no standing armies during peacetime is because we have the Second Amendment that everybody can be like declare
Yeah, yeah.
defend your home because if
The,
you own your home and you have a piece of the pie, you're not gonna lose it. These
right,
people would not. We will not. We have two oceans. We will not be invaded. People will defend their homes like you have no idea. And if we want to go back to the Incan Empire, their socialism has been tried for thousands of years.
mhm,
It's not like Karl Marx invented socialism. Like it was tried in ancient China. It was tried in ancient times, and in ancient Incan Empire, they were fully socialist, and the people didn't even care. Like they were so beaten down that they did not care that if another person invaded them, they didn't care. They had no guns, they had no
Right.
stakes, they didn't care. But if you have people that own their homes and they have a family structure and people can defend their homes and people respect property rights, we're not going to be invaded. We're not going to be taken over. We will fight. Like, and where's my evidence? Vietnam, Afghanistan. Like, how many times have we lost to the people
Mhm.
who defended their homes, and
Mhm. Mhm.
they didn't have the technology and they didn't have the superiority, and they still won because you will defend your home to the last straw. Like
Right.
it's there's so much wisdom in history.
Right. And which is why, like, well, for me, like, even with another thing that I know with government is like there's so many arms of the government now. So that's how, for me, I feel like they've been able to go around whatever great part of the Constitution there is. They go around it with some different agency now, like like the way. So a lot of people be like abolish the FBI or the CIA or whatever, right? So for me, being medical, I go straight to abolish the CDC
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
the CDC showed its arm in 2020, and and it's still continuing to do so. I'm like, we do not need all of these FDAs and NIH and all. We don't need all that. We don't we I'll say we need like a small group of people that you need to vet appropriately, what I mean, systematically, to make sure that they're here to do the job that needs to get done, not promote anything. That arm of the government right there is so corrupt. It is beyond belief. Like, and back in the day when people were more honest, they were going to get rid of it. But HIV happened, and then then they became important. Okay, so I look at that and it's like, well, yeah, like our Constitution says stuff, like my rights, my First Amendment, and I should be able to say what I want, basically worship how I need to. And then you had these people saying, well, there's a germ out here, so we got to shut down the churches. What? Like, so now we just went around all of that just to be able to still pass edict. Oh, because there's germs outside. And I'm like, there's been germs outside. I mean, so, and then like, you see how so much, like so much because you've been involved for so long. Ideology did take over my mind, which is why I hate ideology. I do.
Mhm.
Because not just because it took over my mind, but it's because now that I'm out of it and I look back and I see what it's doing to people, um I'm like, this, it is the devil, right? But God does say, like, idolatry, like, what I mean, you don't take no gods above me. And when you
Mhm.
make yourself
Mhm.
a god, like, what I mean, like, you're
Yeah.
more important than God, it really destroys you as a person. It makes
Mhm.
you angry. There is no happiness in ideology, and we can see that because these people, it's a small minority of people who saying you can't use this word, that word, that word. Like, yo, dog,
Mhm.
like, just because you miserable doesn't mean that I need to,
Yeah.
but and like and I was more in the ideology of it was more racial tones ideology, because now they took black and they made it into ideology, where before in history Negro culture was YouTube's like, oh, no, that's not that, that's a good thing. Negro
Mhm.
culture was about family, business, stuff like that. But black culture now has become booty shaking and like everything is racist. You know what I mean? So I was more on that everything is racist for a while. And it stems
Mhm.
from also feeling like I wasn't black enough. This is
Mhm.
my story, right? So I
Mhm.
can't say that's what everybody else went through, but I'm just saying my story. Like, I felt like I wasn't black enough. So to be black was to be like connecting to the struggle. Like, girl, shut up with struggle. Like, your parents worked hard for you to, like, I mean, have you had no struggle for real, for real. Like, no real struggle. And why does black have to be the struggle? Like, but I bought into all of that, and even got to a point. And then I was working at this place that was pretty, it was because there is discrimination everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's to the level of what we're hearing today, but there is times of discrimination. So I also was in an environment that kind of was adding on a little bit. And those were some angry days in my life. It's crazy. And I was to the point where I was almost not believing the Bible. Like, it's scary to think about, because the devil, boy, when he sees you over some stuff, like tells you you have a problem and tells you he has the solution, it's like, it's terrible. So I was at that point where I'm like, well, everything is whitewashed anyway, and I didn't, I'm like, oh, this white Jesus, and I was saying all the terms, right? And so, like, always angry and always so because of that, I gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care about an American flag or American this, you know, did not do any kind of real research. And but what happened was what started to make me like calm down, first off, I did leave that job, but I'm not gonna blame everything on the job because just because the job is bad doesn't mean that you gotta act, ungrateful and to just about turn your back on God. But there was still a little bit like, because you're brought up a certain way and God is real. You felt him before, so he's real. So like, what are you doing, right? So, but okay. But when I went to Haiti in 2019, I went to go visit Haiti in 2019, and the destruction and just you want to talk to people be like, oh yeah, we should have socialists or communists, the government should be giving us this. You do not want to wait for the government to decide to give you electricity, okay? Like
Mhm.
literally,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, we waiting for the government to give us electricity. It's on, it's been about 15 days, and I'm like, what? I'm like, where I come from, you pay the bill and you turn the light on and then you have electricity. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like shocked. Like, what do you mean you waiting for this? What do you mean? Like, and it's just crumbling, like just a bunch of crumble. And it's a shame. The island itself is so beautiful, but the corruption and everything is so just it's nothing but desecration, right?
Mhm.
By the time I got home, I was like, I pledge allegiance to the like right there, I was like, girl, shut up. Like, you do not hear, like, I was like, because I'm all thinking, like, yeah, because the struggle, because I'm black and I struggle. Like, girl, shut up. You do not know struggle. Like, you don't. Like, you ready to pass out if you did not have lunch today, dog. Like, these people say, I haven't eaten in 2 weeks. You don't know
Mm.
struggle. Like, be quiet. It was to the point where I was like, how are y'all
Yeah.
not dead? Like, how do y'all live like, and I, not to even be ignorant that I'm saying that they should. I just was like,
That
it was
was wild.
first reality
It's
check.
wild.
It was, and I came back on some like humble stuff, and
Yeah.
then right after COVID happened, and
Yeah.
then I saw how I was so used to. It's because I had no problems. I looked for problems, but then I saw how they, yeah, because you don't got nothing to do, so there you
Mhm.
go. But then I saw what was going on, and I saw,
Mhm.
wait a minute, the security that I'm used to, the security that I expect is being taken away. And then as
Mm.
time goes on, I realized like you have to fight for freedom. Like
Mhm.
for after 2020, for me, it's like you have to fight for freedom. Like even if it's a small fight, even if it's telling somebody, it's not even about like, oh, you gotta have a channel or make, yes, creating content is great,
Mhm.
but even just being real in the streets, like if somebody says something stupid around you, like, well, we should, lock down because you have to fight and be like, no, that's not, we don't need that pretext and we do not do this here. And, you have to fight for it. Now people are realizing that, yo, you have to fight for what you thought, what you expected to get every day. And a lot of people don't want to fight, but a lot of people do. And we all have our duty to fight. And at the end of the day too, then around that time too, like I calmed down and then God snatched my heart back again, fully like, all right, that's enough. What I mean? You straight away, which that might actually be a healthy thing because when I came back, I'm back. Like there's no question.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the things happening today and I'm like, um some of this is part of the prophecies, like this is
Mhm.
what they told us about. And not to like go all the way like into it, but I'm 7 days Adventist, so our thing, because like every religion teaches some, like, not to say like a doctrine, we preach from, they preach from the Bible, it's Bible based, that's all they use is the
Mhm.
Bible. But we worship on Saturdays, right? Now we
Mhm.
live in a
Mhm.
country that when you hear the story, is like one of the reasons, if not the main, they always say like the main reason, but I say one of the reasons, whatever, was that the people wanted to worship God how they wanted to worship God, right? So
Mhm.
you think I live here, you can't tell me I can't worship on Saturday. But
Right.
Adventists have been preparing for the day. Like I've been hearing this since I was a little girl. Okay, like there's gonna come a day when the state is gonna tell you that you have to worship on only this day for whatever reason. And and I'm not saying anything about Sunday worshipers, but nobody should tell anybody what day they have to worship on.
Right.
So they say that there's going to come a day that they're going to try to ban Saturday worship or whatever, other day worship or whatever. So you hear the stuff growing up, you're like, okay, mom, all right, mom. and then and then you
And then the
see
shitdemic
2020,
happens. And then the shitdemic, they shut down all
exactly,
the worship.
and
They
you
said no
like,
worship.
yeah, and then you're like, hey, wait a second, like, oh, so that's how y'all would do it. Because in my mind, I'm like, so what, they're just gonna get on the microphone and be like, everybody has to worship on Sunday. I'm like, people would be, but no, these people, they smart. Like, to take again, your freedom. You have free will given by God, So to take that, they have to tell you first there's a problem. And this is how we're gonna solve the problem. So now this to me is where they're gonna try to like really the green, the whole climate green, this, that, whatever, the carbon footprint
Mm-hmm.
that they keep trying to, we have to reduce the carbon
Mm-hmm.
footprint, and you're made mostly out of carbon. And I'm like, I'm telling people, like, they want to reduce
Yeah.
you. Okay, you're what they
It
want to
is
reduce.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with smoke and whatever. You're what they want to reduce. And
Yeah.
and then you hear people say, like, we need to have a day where everything shuts down, and then like a day of
Mm.
rest. And I'm like, and here y'all go. We don't need the state to tell us what
Mm-hmm.
day is the day of rest. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We're getting too close to
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing how the prophecies also, man is now worshiping the earth. Yes, we should keep things clean. We definitely should recycle, but it's to
Mm-hmm.
the point where and then again, we go back to the kids. These kids are so lost. So first of all, they tell them that they could be boys and girls at the same time. So now you've taken away most of their reality. But while they could be boys and girls at the same time, they've been destroying the earth. So now they have to go back and repent for destroying the earth. And you have like these young people who are ready to commit suicide. Like, I'm just a horrible, all I do is use too much carbon. It's like, yo, sis, calm down. That's not
Oh,
for you to worry about.
I
Like,
have never seen that, but that is sad. See somebody. I have never seen somebody be sad that they use too much carbon, but that is really bad. That is
how they
the
getting these
hysteria. That's wild,
teens.
wild hysteria.
Yes, they got them
No.
brainwashed with whatever ideology they give them. Earth worshiping is an ideology. You have now
Yeah.
taken the creation and you've made it more than the creator. You're telling people that their carbon footprint is causing the earth is going to end.
Right. And
Yo,
I was part of that in the beginning when, like I said, I started out as a Democrat, and I was actually at the movie theater for Al Gore's movie. I was there for that was like, I forgot, 2002. I don't know. I was at the movie. That I forgot what the Al
he did
Gore
do
movie
something.
was.
Yeah.
Inconvenient Truth. See it. That's the name of your thing.
Nah, let me find it. Yeah, he probably was like, yeah, but now I'm giving the
You
real
stole
truth.
this,
Yeah,
man. Oh, that's
yeah.
what it was called. No, people were actually crying in the movie theater next to me. That was wild. I
See,
believe the whole. I was drinking the Kool-Aid back in those days.
and
But it was called global warming back then. It was called global warming. But now they changed it to climate change, which is like the most scoundrel freaking name on earth, because
exactly.
it's like, imagine they're making us scared of the tides. There's gonna be
Right.
tidal change, and you're
Yes,
like, oh my god, the tides are gonna change, bro.
but then
That's what they do. Like, the climate does change. Like, I mean, it is. As long as I see like the government is involved to take advantage of something, I know that I have to put my radar on. Like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
yeah,
This doesn't seem right. I mean,
yeah.
because like, as far as like, the libertarian position, the anarchist libertarian position about pollution, pollution is trespassing. Okay,
Hmm.
we can subtract climate change, we can subtract everything out of the equation. The fact that you are polluting, you are trespassing. So there is a solution there. Like,
Right.
the property right, the ethics of property rights does deal with pollution. We don't want pollution. And also, as an entrepreneur, if you are polluting, if you're like, excreting things, like, you're wasting money, you're a bad entrepreneur in that respect. So we can deal with it, and without getting, like I said, without getting involved in all the bigger hysteria. Yeah, we don't want pollution. That it is
Right.
like, and I know smart people, the people who are in waste management, they can recycle. They, like, the smartest entrepreneurs are gonna get these resources and make money from them. You know, we don't
If
have
they
to
want to.
waste. We don't have to dump things in the ocean. Like,
Right.
nobody wants that. No, nobody that is like a that loves Mother Earth. Nobody wants, to pollute and destroy the earth. Nobody wants that. But the smartest entrepreneurs among us will make money from resources. Will recycle, repurpose, recreate, and make a profit. And that's one of the like the stateless solutions that we talk is like teach entrepreneurship, because to be a good entrepreneur, you have to know the factors of production: land, labor, capital, and the last one is information.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about like permanent solutions that don't require politics, is like just be a good business owner, create jobs, own property, transform resources into productive things for the community, serve your community. And the whole thing, going back to Jesus, like the gospel of Jesus, like service. He was cleaning the feet of the disciples.
Yeah.
Service was the biggest thing that Jesus taught us. And as an entrepreneur, service, to be so we're going through a tough time. And as far as like what we were talking about is not to have political solutions, because they are fleeting. They can take it away from us in the next thing, and we're going to be disappointed. We by ourselves need to learn, educate ourselves on like how to grow plants,
Yep.
how to be a better person. We can protect ourselves from these interruptions and disruptions
Yep.
by having our own resources. Like, for example, I'm an amateur beekeeper.
Oh,
I've only done
me
2 years of
too.
beekeeping, and right
Yeah.
now in the spring I'm about to plug in some more beehives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a beekeeper. I make wine. I make kombucha,
You did
and
say.
I work for some breweries. So I'm doing things that are like outside of the realm. That regardless of what happens to the world, if you need wine, come see me, because
Right. Yeah, and they're gonna need. Look, you'll be like, yeah, they're gonna need to drown in it for the next couple of years. Uh,
that's the only thing I'll recommend to the
yeah.
listeners. Like learn something. Like get
Right.
educated. Something fun, that you're passionate about. Something that you can give back to the community. Something that you can have in abundance, in an excess. Like you something that you're so good at that you can trade with your peoples. And then we have to protect the community. I think one of my favorite prophets from the Bible is Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
And at the you ever heard of the Mises.org, Ludwig von Mises? You ever heard of these guys?
I've heard these names. Yeah, but obviously you can explain a little bit more. But
Yeah, there's Mises is
mm-hmm.
Mises.org. The
Mm-hmm.
Ludwig von Mises Institute is in Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
and they have thousands of hours of free college courses and information,
Right.
podcasts, everything, articles online.
Mm-hmm.
And they have one called Isaiah's Job. The title is called Isaiah's Job.
Mm-hmm.
And this essay was written by Albert J. Nock in the 1930s. And there's a version of me before I read the essay, and a version of me after the essay.
Mm-hmm.
And this essay changed my life, because it did explain to me about Isaiah the prophet and what he went through. So basically, Isaiah was, preaching the word of God, and the world was collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was going to shit. And he asked God, like, I'm trying my best to stop the collapse. And God basically told him, yeah, it's going to happen. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
So now Isaiah, the prophet, says, well, why should I keep preaching if everything's going to hell? And then God said, because you're preaching to the remnant. And that's the first time I ever heard the remnant as a
Mm-hmm.
term. I ever heard about the remnant. The opposite of the remnant are the masses.
Mm-hmm.
So this essay tells you the difference between the remnant and the masses. And that changed my life, because now I knew I don't have to preach to the masses. The masses are, if society's going to hell, the masses are going
Yeah.
with it.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
preaching to the remnant. That's why my music is different. That's why the music changed drastically.
Right.
And it's all like, you know, and that's why the music from now on, it's like I'm part of the remnant. I'm only speaking to the remnant. I
Right.
know this is crazy. This is a crazy time, and I know that everything will probably collapse. But you know, I know how to keep bees.
Right. Right. No, and that
I know how to live on a farm. Like I gotta
that
get out of Dodge. You know, I don't know.
yeah. And that's the simplicity of it that is important. Like, yeah, you're right. Cause we can't, you're so right, right? Like even me, um, like we should talk about what's going on and let people know something's going on. But we know
Yeah,
that not everybody's gonna be saved, but at least you know how to keep bees and grow, stuff on the farm, know how to turn so and that's what it is. So it's being a also being like self-sustaining or sustaining your family, you know what I mean? Like family coming in and it's a different time. Like it just simply is a different time where we don't have time to just waste time. I don't know how to yeah,
right,
that's
right,
pretty
right. No,
much
I
it.
mean, like, listen, we're not gonna vote our way out of this problem. The
Well,
politicians
yeah,
aren't gonna save us, but there is like the Bible is there, the scripture, that Jesus is there. Like we do have like this is not the first time we're going through this, and I think you get comfort in the fact that we're not the first people to see this, and
right.
just be humble and just be thankful and try to make it out alive. And if we make it our life and we have like wonderful children, and we can impart the wisdom, you have to love life, and you have to love the earth, and you have to love everything, to care
Right.
enough to like want to preserve what is beautiful in life. and
Yes.
and that's where the faith comes from. And I love life, I love humanity, and I want the best, and I love the best of humanity. And in 2020 we saw the worst of humanity, and it was
Yeah.
sad, but I know that we can be better, and we can do
Right.
better. And I love like turning to nature. And nature,
Yeah.
natural law is the beauty of God's creation, where you can see how wonderful it could be. And it's not spoiled by the ugliness and the pettiness of politics and stupidity. And that's where we should be going to. And that's where I think, if you're going to do Bible study and things like that nature, it gives you that wisdom and that comfort to know that we're all going through it. And let's preserve what's beautiful. Be the vibration of beauty and love. Like, be the vibration, just represent that and live that. And try to hold on to that and spread it to the people. And
Yeah.
that's why your channel exists, because you're trying to spread something beautiful. You're trying to do your best. And it's amazing.
Thank you.
And it's part of that that struggle.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Cause I will say, like, even um for better or I did tweet this out though. I was like, for better or worse, I don't trust most of what I see, and that's not the worst thing to me. I will say that, like, it's not the worst thing to me. I'd rather be here, even though sometimes it's frustrating because I do feel like there's so much going on, and we're still tiptoeing around what's going on and eating around the edges and stuff. And I'm like even with this jab, and and I'm gonna get back to the light again, so I'm not trying to sound, you're like, damn, I just dropped off that bluffy
That's not good.
switch.
Not good.
But it's gonna go somewhere. But like even with this jab, the jab is what my channel was supposed to be, like a little channel that was supposed to be fun and talk about little stuff, politics, whatever. And then they mandated the jab, and I was like, dang, I gotta drop off information about what people need to look out for. Da, da, da. I almost lost this channel a few times. But that jab, we're still eating around the edges. As much as I hear, yeah, this doctor said this and this, I don't hear anybody saying take the poison off the market. Like that's what I don't hear it. So I'm like, people are still dying, kids are still dying. So sometimes I do get frustrated where I'm like, man, what is this all for? But then I also have to understand that like like it is what it is, and God is still in control, and God knows what it's all for. Because what I don't see though is that there are people who are waking up in their own way. And but what I do see is after 2020, and when my mind was open now to receive information and to pay attention and to learn from everybody, none of that, like, oh, I don't talk to this one, because none of that small petty stuff. I have met some awesome people along the way, like some really cool people where life is like I don't know if the word is fun, but it feels promising, because it's like man, there's some good people out here.
Hmm.
And when you're on the other side, like,
Hmm.
you don't realize there's good people out here because you always looking for the worst in people because you think that people are doing something to you. Once you let that go, your mind is just you're just like ready to meet people and just deal with people accordingly and whatever, right? And it is what it is. And so, and at the end of the day, like you said too, like, yeah, like, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'm not voting. Like, I know I'm like, I'm not gonna vote. Like in Pennsylvania, I Doug Mastriano, the Republican, like, I was on and I'm like, yo, vote for Doug, vote for Doug, because he had these amazing plans for Pennsylvania. And I said, if I can't like get the full, everything, but his plans were 90%. I'm like, I'm all the way with it. There's not really much that I wasn't with, like, because he was like, yo, we have too many regulations on small businesses. When I come in, I'm gonna knock out this many. I'm getting rid of all the mandates in this, state. So it felt, I was like, dang, it feel like a little bit less government would be on my back. Guys, this is it. We should vote for Doug Mastriano. I was everywhere. Doug, and then he's racist. I'm like, yo, I'm a black girl telling you, like, what I mean? Like, no, like,
Damn.
stop with that. Like, and I even met him and everything. Like, the man had plans,
Hmm.
and because of abortion or whatever, we got Josh Shapiro. And the next day, I was like sick to my stomach for like an hour. But then I was like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're gonna sit there and be depressed? You at the end of the day, he wasn't going to save you anyway." But I wanted the best for Pennsylvania, right? But I
Right.
know
Right.
that God saves, Jesus saves, so that's who I worship. So I know it's like, girl, you'll be all right because you have a plan, and while you're trying to help in this aspect, but you're still working on your own plan, because no matter what, there is going to come a day where it doesn't matter who they put on,
Hmm.
as president or governor. The agenda will be so rooted into routine stuff that there's nothing, like you said, we can't vote our way out of this. but
Right.
but people have to wake up and find their like strength and their self-confidence, and then like, and stop wasting time. Even myself this year, like, I've been really looking at myself like, stop wasting time. Like, don't mill around, and you could this purpose, find your purpose, do what you have to do in your purpose, and pray and do your Bible studies and stuff. And even in all the calamity, I still feel very hopeful. Like, even this conversation we're having today, like,
Yeah.
it's
That's
awesome. Like,
This is deep, and I think, like I said, like the Bible study shows you how other people survived other collapses. This is
hmm
not the first time. I mean, this is very shocking to a lot of people. People are very shocked, and this is painful what we went through in the shitdemic. But if you looked at the prior, if you study so much history, you see like, oh, it's the everything. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
hmm
The prophet Isaiah was one of my, yeah, like I said, like after I studied like that essay of Isaiah's Job by Albert J. Nock. I'm not the same person. My music changed. Everything changed about me. I don't care about the masses. I
Oh
don't
my
care
goodness.
about. I don't care about like having you see all these hip hop artists now that are like just blowing up. Like I don't care about the masses. Like I don't want the masses to be my fans.
Mhm.
But you see,
Mm.
you heard the music that you heard, and you're like, yo, you connected with it immediately. Like you said, like you're the remnant. You're part of the people, and so I remember, like and in the promo you mentioned a thing about money management. I mentioned a thing about money management. Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom right now to like survive these crazy times, and
Mhm.
I mean that's what we gotta look for, and like the Bible is really interesting because it's like the ancient Hebrews. It goes 5,000 plus years, and like I've studied so much of that. And a lot of my Jewish friends in South Florida used to call me, Julio. They because they said I
That's
was Jewish because I used to explain to them about that stuff, but I was just studying the ancient Hebrews and Samuel. I don't know if did you ever like get to study Samuel in the Old Testament? Samuel.
I mean, like, I've read like verses and stuff out of, Samuel and everything, but yeah.
Samuel is one of the like the funny thing about the Bible is that whatever your ideology is, you're gonna find it in the Bible, and you can like justify your ideology in the Bible. So if you care about the government and war, you'll find that in the Bible. Me as an anarchist, I find the anarchist scriptures. So I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you that the Bible is anarchist, but I'm skipping over all the other stuff. It's like so
Mm-hmm.
many authors, there's so many years, there's so many, from the Old Testament and the New Testament. Samuel was the first king, and Samuel was warning the people of Israel, like, you don't need a king. Like that's like, I mean, classic. Like I wish I knew it by memory. I wish I can tell you this by memory. But if you go back to Samuel and you go back to his warning to the people, like he was the first judge, and then his two sons were a bunch of flunkies, and they're like, we don't, we need a king. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
like everybody else. We need a king. And then Samuel was like, bro, like we don't need a king. God is king.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a pivotal moment, and that's in the Old Testament.
Right.
And
Right.
Samuel, the warning, Samuel's warning to the people of Israel is like, that's classic, and that's me as an anarchist. I'll go straight to that scripture and I'll read it to somebody and be like, see, we're supposed to be anarchists. And
Oh
the other
yeah.
one is like when Jesus was in the wilderness for like
Mm.
whatever, he was in the wilderness like 40 days. I forgot how long he was in that. And then the devil tempted him with worldly power, and he says, my father's kingdom is not of this world. More
Right.
anarchist scriptures. I'm like, oh, anarchist.
Mm-hmm.
you know
I see what you're saying.
but no, it's for real. Jesus was an
Yeah.
anarchist because Jesus was not about worldly power, and yeah, no, I'm not about this worldly power because it'll corrupt you. We see how the federal government has been corrupted, and it's super corrupted. Like Ron Paul is one of the only people that I can say that he was in the belly of the beast and didn't get corrupted.
And
Like
didn't get, yeah.
he's a special person. I'm glad I
He
got to
is.
meet him 2 times.
You did. Wow, that is so cool.
But and the 2 times I met him, we had the same conversation 2 times. So I met him in Asheville, and I asked him about Isaiah, the prophet.
Hmm.
And then
Uh-huh.
I met him in Acapulco, and then I continued the conversation about Isaiah, the prophet,
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
said that same story of Isaiah influenced him as a person, and that I think that might have helped him navigate Congress and not get corrupted, and that's
That's
helped me
it, right.
too. So
Yeah.
maybe of this episode, Isaiah's job, maybe everybody goes go read that.
I
Maybe
know. I'm good. I
that'll
already wrote it
influence
down. Say, oh,
people to Isaiah's Job by Albert J. Nock. Um, I mean, we
yeah.
have to like. I mean, everything's crazy, and right now I'm studying a lot of agriculture. Like I said, I'm a beekeeper, amateur beekeeper.
Oh, that's what's up. Because yeah,
That's my
and
gig right now.
right. That's what's up. And yeah, I mean, like all of it, like that's, and I'm gonna go look at this Isaiah's job. But what you said about Ron Paul,
Read
like
that.
that is, huh? That's the only way to navigate through Congress is again answering to God or knowing the scriptures. Something God has to be involved, or else you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. And like even me, and I am not in Congress, but even me with this channel, I have to check myself too. Like it's God first. Like there's certain things you're just gonna have to say that might offend somebody, but
Mm-hmm.
it's if it's of God, like, and I'm not pushing my, like, but I'm just saying, like, that's the whole point. It's inconvenient truth, but it's true.
Mm. Yeah,
So
it's your
you have,
foundation.
yeah,
It does color everything, and it's like your foundation, the solid rock, because we're going through the weirdest time ever. And if you don't have a solid rock, then you're gonna be led astray. You're gonna go crazy. You're gonna
yep,
believe all the stupid shit. Either
all,
way, like there's everybody's losing their minds in different ways, in different
yeah,
directions.
yeah,
Everybody lost their mind. If you didn't have a rock, but the thing is, like I said, like the Bible is like a history of the ancient Hebrews going back 5,000 years. Like they went through Babylon, they went through Egypt, they went through all these empires. These empires came and fell like within 2,000 years. Like the American empire right now is going through a turning point. You were talking about geopolitics right now with the BRICS.
yeah,
Richard Nixon started the freaking the petrodollar. when Nixon took us off the gold window and then got us on the petrodollar with the Saudis, this thing is right
Mhm.
now in danger. Right now,
Absolutely indeed.
Saudi Arabia is having meetings with BRICS. Like they're gonna start taking payments in renminbi. Like
Absolutely.
that thing is changing. It's changing right
Yeah.
now.
Fast.
Like I mean, there's like thousands of years of world history available to us to learn and study, so that we don't have to be ignorant and shocked and embarrassed and lose our shirt and not protect our families.
Right.
There's so much
Right.
wisdom already available, and like that's what hopefully we can tell everybody that's listening. Like, study, study, be prepared. This is not new. None of this is new, and it's gonna be bad. This is a weird time. This is a very weird time, and there's people have been calling this out. There's people who started moving out to Asia because they
Mhm.
knew that they said at the beginning of the 1800s, if you lived in England, you were at the spot. At the beginning of the 1900s, if you lived in the USA, you were at the spot. And now at the beginning of the thousands, if you're in Asia, you're at the spot where the world is going to happen. And Doug Casey, have you ever heard of Doug Casey?
No, I'm gonna write his name down too. It's a
Doug
lot to
Doug
take.
Doug Casey. I recommend Doug Casey. Doug Casey is the original international man. Doug Casey has like a newsletter. He's an investor. He's a world traveler. He's been calling out these changes, and I'm glad I got to meet Doug Casey in Acapulco in Acapulco. I sat at the same table with him. He was really kind. He was real good people's. So he's got a lot of wisdom, and he believes in gold and silver and things of that nature, and he invests in like energy. He's a world traveler. Like he's trying to stay a step ahead. Like he's not like married to the USA.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I just want to like have the best life on earth and like the best resources. Doug
Right.
Case is a good egg. He's still with us today.
That's good too. That's good that he's still with us. These legends who are still alive, we need to give
Yeah.
them their flowers while they're alive, because yeah, there's going to be a lot of people, because even this collapse of the dollar, that will come. It will come. Our leaders, or whatever you want to call them, our establishment knows it's coming, and they want it, because they want that CBDC so bad. They
Yeah,
they, they
yeah.
don't care, because if I could see all these other countries getting ready to get stronger and everything, and then we're still here focused on Ukraine. Well, I don't know how much focus. Like, yeah, I'm like, really? So it's like every second that goes by, this country loses more of its value, and they don't do anything. They don't care. Like, they want it to be lost, because they want to be able to control us. They want us all in the same level. That's why when it's just you could go on forever, like, just when you unraveling everything, and you're like, oh, okay, and I mean, I've even talked about that war over there in Ukraine, and it's not, I know what it looks like, but there's a spiritual element to that war that is undeniable, and I don't care
There's
what
a
nobody.
profit. There's a profit motive. I don't know. Did you ever hear about General Smedley Butler from the Marines?
No, but we're gonna write his name down too. Go
General
ahead.
Smedley. He has a funny ass name. Smedley
Mhm.
Butler. General
Mhm.
Smedley Butler is my favorite Marine. He wrote a book called War is a Racket. And back in the day when I had an office job, I um I had access to the copy machine.
Mhm.
I used to print copies of his book, and it only was like 10 pages deep. It was not crazy. Like I would just like get copies and staple it and hand it out. War is a Racket was the book he wrote, and General Smedley Butler was the most decorated Marine, or the most decorated serviceman in the United States military at his time
Mhm.
before World War II.
Mhm.
And he wrote a book called War is a Racket. And right now they just did a movie actually with Christian Bale in them. I haven't seen this movie yet.
Wow.
There's a movie that just came out called Amsterdam. I haven't seen it
Uh-huh.
yet. But I'm a huge fan of Smedley Butler. Like I said, I used to hand out his book War is a
Mhm.
Racket to people. I love General Smedley Butler, and on my Twitter channel, hashtag War is a Racket is one of my favorite hashtags. I think they're suppressing it. War is a
They
racket.
probably are. Yeah.
And so General Smedley Butler, he saw so many conflicts. He knew war was a freaking racket. It was a hustle. And so there's a movie called Amsterdam. I have to watch it. I don't know if you're gonna watch it. We can do another
Yeah, no, I wrote
follow
it
up.
down. Yeah.
Watch that movie. Talk about that movie. But they did a movie. Christian Bale is in it. A bunch of people in it. And it was supposedly based. So apparently, I think what that movie is based on. This is just hearsay or whatever. There was supposed to be a coup d'état, and they were trying to get Smedley Butler to do the coup d'état in the United States to knock
Mm-hmm.
out, I think, Roosevelt. I think they were trying to knock out Roosevelt.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but there was a big conspiracy. He was involved in the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch this movie. I haven't watched this movie. I don't know if anybody's commenting who's seen the movie who can tell us if it's
Is it
different.
a new movie or
It's
they just?
new movie. It just
All
came
right,
out
so
like
I'll be looking out
just
for.
like in
Okay.
the last 3 months. It's called Amsterdam, and
Okay.
Christian Bale is in the movie. I have to watch this. But Smedley Butler is one of my favorite Marines, and he, like I said, he wrote an amazing book called "War Is a Racket." He called it out. He was part of it, man. He said like they sent him to Panama. He's like, I was a soldier for freaking the Dole Fruit Company.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, yeah, he was like, we
Yeah.
were out there pacifying. So everything you're saying is correct. Like you're smelling the hustle. You're smelling it. You say we're in Ukraine, we're here, we're there, we're like hustle. We're like it's a hustle. It's a giant hustle, and
It
it's
is.
wrong.
Absolutely wrong, and now it's and they're bold with it, and the minute last year in February when I heard um them so sure, like, we think Russia's gonna invade Ukraine in a week, and I'm like, dog, what they called you and told you? I'm like, how you know that so sure? Yeah, he like, I'm like, because I made videos this, and I started to segue into, like, I was like, they're saying they think Russia's gonna, but when they said, like, well, is there gonna be like diplomatic solutions with Russia? Does Putin want to talk or whatever? Like, well, we're not sure if he wants to talk, but we know we're sure within a week or two he's gonna invade. I'm like, yeah, what are y'all doing to make him need to? Because you're like a betting man now, and you're telling me that you're sure this is gonna happen. And so I was
Mhm.
like, I'm calling this out. I said, this is weapons of mass destruction all over again, and then and then look at us. Fast forward a year later, going into another level of this war that is very dangerous.
Oh yeah, very bad for the and I think what caught me off guard the first time was during the debate between Hillary and Trump in 2016 was
Mm-hmm.
when Hillary at the debate started like talking shit about Russia. That caught me off guard because
Oh,
before
okay.
that everything was about like ISIS and the other guys with Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard when during the debate Hillary was calling out Russia. Like, what? Russia's our enemy now?
Mm-hmm.
That just caught me off guard. Trust me, that
All
shocked
of
me.
it was set
That
up
shocked
by.
me. That was
Yeah.
that was the third thing. So all of a sudden Trump wins the election. Now he's colluding with Russia and all this Russia, 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 Russia. That caught me off guard, and I was like,
Yeah.
why are we fighting with Russia now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I never
What?
knew. Right. Yeah. It's like, why is Russia a problem? Meanwhile, she
What?
actually has ties with, yeah. And like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like we got a new
That,
boogeyman. And to even
yes,
just,
exactly. A new the next boogeyman, but that's a big boogeyman
yeah, like, I don't even know
these
why.
little Al Qaeda and ISIS are like little gangs and
Yeah.
shit, little gangs in the hood, like in the hood. These are little gangs, like you
Right.
can set them up all day long. But they said Russia. That's when I was like, what do you mean Russia?
Because they've been
And
planning
now
this.
now they sent the tanks over. Now it's getting ugly, and I'm like, no, no,
They've
don't
been,
fight with
yeah,
Russia. Like, don't fight with anybody, man. We don't want to fight nobody.
right.
We
We
want to
don't,
live in
but,
peace, man. Like, stop.
and, mm-hmm. It's terrible. It's terrible because, and the more and more I look, I read and I listen to more lectures about this thing has been planned. And I'm gonna just kind of say this part or whatever because this could be a whole nother hour. But the way they've been planning this, right? When I tell you Trump was not supposed to be president, he was not supposed to be, like, he got in the
Yeah,
way
he
because we would have
wasn't. Yeah.
already been in that war with and we are in a war with Russia. They could say how much Ukraine fighting. No, that's with it. We are way too involved, and Russia's saying it too. Like, y'all are making it dangerous by doing. I'm not fighting. It's not just Ukraine I'm fighting. So but from way before, like from I think 2008, we started stepping into Ukraine and starting to cause problems over there. And you're right, they're all the same. They are like there's a few that's in there that's different, man, but they don't get the mic as much as everybody else. And under the Obama era, they all like in Ukraine, and then they funded a coup and all that. There's always a coup that's funded. And by 2014, they had gotten rid of the legitimate president over in Ukraine, and they put in their own little puppet. You know what I'm saying? So the puppet that's not Zelensky, but the puppet was there for a while. So Clinton was supposed to take over the mantle of, I'm saying, all of that with the war. But then here comes Trump becoming president. So everything kind of sits lukewarm,
Yeah.
because his thing
And
was
he was
not like,
switching it up.
um,
He was switching it up. Yeah, Hillary was
yeah,
supposed to be president, and yeah, he's breaking things
he
down.
didn't go with that agenda like all right, well, we got to go get Russia, because I think he told him like, not I'm not funding this. If Ukraine want to buy weapons, they could buy weapons, but I'm not getting involved with that.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
he was shutting down NATO. He was like, everybody in
yeah,
NATO
he
has to
was
pay their
like,
own prices. He's
yes.
an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. Like, yeah,
And
he's like,
then
everybody has to pay their own price. Yeah,
and I think they were like, oh man, we got to get this guy out of here because he's
right,
messing everything up. We're not making war money. We're not able to push our ideology on this country now, because
right,
that's
right.
really the most, to me, that's the biggest thing, because this obsession with Russia to the point with this
No,
Russian
it just
collusion.
came up. It just
It's just
came up. It
they,
just
they,
came up. No, but
because
there
they
was no
know
before 2016. There was no. Everything
there
was
was
about
no,
the Middle East and a bunch of like Arabs, and it was all about like
because they were
demonizing
trying
the
to push
Arabs.
their right, but they were also trying to push, and I'm not saying ISIS is good and all that. I'm not, but
No, no,
they were
but
pushing their
that was the thing.
ideology into the Middle East, because we know how they sound when it comes to certain
Hmm.
things, right? And so
Make
now, but
boogeyman.
huh? What happened?
Yeah, they were making boogeymen. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like
but
these are
but
boogeymans
the
that we don't
difference,
see out here, and they're like, "There's ISIS in America.
yeah,
There's Al Qaeda in Arkansas." Like, yeah, they were trying
right,
to scare us like for years. That was the boogeyman, and then when they switched over to Russia being the boogeyman, that was like that shocked me. That was
yeah.
like, what do you mean Russia is the new? That's a giant country.
And then
That's
they sat
what?
there and alleged that Russia stole our elections.
You're
Meanwhile,
right,
my
right,
dumb behind was
right. It went
believing it back in
crazy.
like 2017. But
They went
then,
crazy.
and
Damn.
it was a complete lie. It was a complete lie, but it destroyed the relation. And whatever was left with the relationship between America and Russia was done after that. But yeah, they're obsessed with Russia now, because what they want to do to this world. Putin has an army and a big country. He's not Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Not gonna be able to
No,
get it. And his country
I
like
hate, I hate
sorry.
having to say this. I don't support Trump. I never voted for Trump, but he's like saying like Trump is anti-Russian war. Like he's trying to keep the peace. You know what I mean? Like damn, like we don't have to go to war with everybody.
Because
But
it's all for
but
ideology
that's the
for
whole
the
thing.
most part.
Smedley Butler said war is a racket, and and the thing like we just saw like there was like a recent expose right now with the Pfizer people saying like whether you believe it or not or whatever, like they caught a guy on the camera saying that they're trying to mutate viruses.
Yeah,
It's a
Veritas. Yeah.
there's a they just trying to make money, man. Like if there is not another boogeyman or another war, they can't make money selling their weapons. The problem is like we can't trust the government to do any of these decisions.
Mhm.
That's
But it's
the overall story.
you're right. We can't. But and I'm gonna end off this part with this. One thing I will say, like, because I came to the Trump team mad late, but when I came, I started paying attention, and he's in at the last like 5 months of his excuse me, presidency, maybe like the last even 3 months, the man finally started putting the right people around him. Finally, who weren't going to lie to him. He wanted to take troops out of certain countries, and these other people were lying like, no, 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 we only have, like, if he was like, I want to take 15 troops out the country, they were like, well, we only have 10 over there, knowing damn well they had 500. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
that's how he was getting lied to. And he had this one colonel that was like became his like advisor to, these foreign affairs, Colonel Douglas McGregor. That man, when he speaks, man, he speaks nothing but truth. He knows what's going on. He keeps it real. And he started working with Trump, and he started to make the moves to, calm down all this American arms everywhere and start reeling it back in. This is when I think Trump, in the last few months of his presidency, was really starting to realize what he really could do. He took us out of the WHO. That sealed the deal for me. When he took us out of the WHO and everybody was like, he's trying to murder us, I was like, oh, I was like, where did they get this man from? I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, that's it. He has my vote. That's it. Because nobody else was paying attention to the WHO the way I wasn't. For me to hear a president took us out of it, I said, yo, I don't want nobody else but him. That's it. Because he was a person who was not a politician, no matter how greedy maybe he was in certain other aspects, or maybe had a narcissistic personality in other aspects,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But he was still not a politician. And that was the first time that I casted a vote, and I was proud of that. It's like, it's
Yeah.
funny. As if somebody would have told me that in 2016, like, you're going to be proud of voting for Donald Trump in 2020, I'd have been like, what? I was proud because I had did my research and I realized what I was dealing with. And I was like, this man he needs that second term. And I think in that second term, we would have seen so many wonderful changes. But
But no, but the thing is, like, what the anarchist solution is, we're trusting ourselves. We're trusting our own intuition and our own communities, and we're protecting our
right.
communities. You know what I mean? So, like, to be able to like handle firearms and handle farming, like we have to go to that because
Yeah, we
um
do.
the federal solution, the big solution is never like we cannot trust that solution. And going back to the whole thing, like, being people of Jesus, you know, we're not
Yeah,
gonna
it just
we
right.
can't trust these people. I mean, this is like, it's been a crazy adventure. I mean,
Mm-mm.
Trump, like I said, was a giant suppository. He just went in there and he shook things up
And then
like
he
we've
told us
never
a lot
seen
of yeah,
in
he was
50,
real about so much what
70.
was going
He
on.
shook shit up, but I mean, that was
Yeah.
never gonna be. I never had hope in the guy, and and he believes in the freaking. He's still shilling for the vaxes and shit. I mean,
I
I don't
don't
want to say that. I mean, I can get into that. Like, that's another like thing I can talk about. I call it a jab because I'm not anti-vaccine. I
well, I
think
am.
I'm an MC. I'm an MC. I
Mhm.
care about words. I care about language.
Yeah.
So they're butchering the language. Like, I see everywhere they're butchering the language, and when you change the definition of words, you change people's reality, and it's really sad because I hang around with a bunch of farmers who actually have vaccines for their cows, and I do like vaccines meant something back in the day. That's why I call this thing a jab. It's an abomination. That's like, you literally can like sell us a dog shit, and you sell us like, this is literal dog shit, but the government said it was a vaccine. So you're like, why aren't you taking the vaccine? It's dog shit. No, you're
Right.
anti-vax. It's dog shit. You don't want dog shit. But not to get into that whole situation, but they're like butchering the language.
Right. They
As an
definitely
MC, I care about the language. I care about
right.
language. I study languages. I care about the definition of words and things. Trump, like I said, he was a giant suppository. He came through. It was interesting what he did. It was interesting to see that he went in there, and interesting to see how the whole government changed. But at the end of the day, the anarchists are like, we're trying to get away from the cities.
Yeah.
We're trying to get away from the we have to do, natural law. Natural law is agriculture and things like that. We have to survive, because after everything goes to shit, who's gonna be here to teach the next generation? Like, who's gonna be here to pass on the knowledge of everything that we need to pass on? We have to protect ourselves, basically. Like, we're not depending on the next election, and we're not depending on the next politician to save us. You have to save yourself.
Yeah.
Just get educated, study history, study knowledge, be a better person. You use 2023 to be a better person. Learn new things. I'm going to be a better beekeeper this year. I'm going to plug in, like, I think like 2 hives, maybe a third hive, The third person has to pay for their own shit. So, but I'm like a consultant. I'm like, look, this is what the boxes cost so much. I'll help you. I'll be your consultant. I'll plug in the bees for you and
Right.
teach you how to keep the beehives and not to be a slumlord. I can do a whole episode on beekeeping. You know,
We'll have to do that too. Seriously, like I want all that on the channel. Yeah. Like I watched this one channel on it. They like, you gotta talk about every like, yes, like
don't be a
it
slumlord.
yeah. But like no, for real, we all of that. Like even what
Well,
you're
we have
saying.
to learn, study
At the end
self,
of the
no,
day,
self
yeah,
knowledge, study the scriptures, study, learn, be a better person. You have to. We are the solution. Like
yeah.
these politicians, nobody is the solution. You are the solution. Be the solution. You know, fe en Dios, faith in God. Just like
I
that's what
mean,
we gotta do. That's the
right.
message. I think. I hope that's the message from this episode. Is believe in yourself, and this is a crazy time, and this hasn't happened before. I've been trying to explain that during this episode. Is like this is not the first time this happened, and there's so much literature available to give us an insight to prepare us and let us know of this fact.
Right. And no, that is the message. It's not about like I want to be very clear again. Like that was the moment in time, and if if we never get anything like that again as far as that presidency, like I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna crumble and turn into that. No, that's insane. Like that my life doesn't depend on who is the president or whatever, because then I was never living. Okay, so I want to be very clear that the Lord does talk to me and does tell us like we have to follow him. We follow God. We follow God. And that's it. Now, only God won't let us down. So by that way we do become the change. And it's almost even like as simple as when Michael Jackson said it, if you want to make the world a better place, you know what I mean? Like you if everybody really looked in the mirror and made the change and overnight we'd already be living better. But I mean, obviously we have to kind of help people realize like, there's a change that needs to be made. And of course not everybody's gonna be safe, but again, these conversations are very positive and powerful. Like I'm happy we had this discussion today because, like you said, there are a lot of things going on, and people have felt before that the world was ending back in the day. Like I'm sure people saw so much destruction. I can't even imagine World War II, what they were thinking when they were seeing some of this stuff. So,
Hmm.
we have been here, but we have fought before, and you really do
Hmm.
have to believe in yourself um and do what it takes, because only you can save you and your family. If it's on you. We got to take accountability for our for our
We're a
life
little piece
story.
of the salvation. We are the little piece of the salvation.
Yeah. Yep.
Everything could go fall apart, but if we are the salvation, then we're gonna make it past the shit, and then we can rebuild. Whether we have kids, hopefully, if you had children or whatever you can do, or be a teacher, be an educator,
Yeah.
then we can rebuild the society. And that's why the story of Isaiah's job, it was really deep that he went through an apocalypse, and he felt helpless, and he went through an apocalypse by himself. Like that was thousands of years ago, like 2000. I don't know when that Isaiah's job happened, but to read like that essay, I'm like, bro, like nothing's new under the sun. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I'm drowning. I think I'm drowning, but I'm like, bro, this happened already.
Right. Right. And then people leave back the nuggets like this is how, yeah, you navigate through. You're right. Yeah. I mean, you're right. So yeah.
The wisdom
But
is there. God bless. The wisdom
thank
is
God
there.
for that. So tell people, a little bit, where they could find you. I am gonna put on the description like your Twitter, your Instagram. Do you want me to do that? Like, and then
All that stuff.
but
See
still tell the
traffic.
people like,
I'm gonna do it right
like
here. See traffic right here. I'm trying to see traffic everywhere. Colombian traffic on all the stuff. That's
mm,
Colombian traffic. Low life Miami family. The low
mm,
life crew. We just had an amazing weekend this weekend. Thurston Howell's birthday. Thurston Howell the third. God bless him. Thurston Howell the third is like a freaking international fashion icon. He was the only rapper invited to like Ralph Lauren's like HBO red carpet. It was
oh
Thurston
cool.
Howe and
Yeah.
Tyson Bedford. Yo,
Oh.
so I'm thankful. I'm like the second generation low life. And peace to all the low lives worldwide, the double L's. God bless everybody. It's a big hip hop crew. I'm the only, probably one of the few anarchists in the hip hop crew, but giant crew. And started in '88. And shout out to everybody. I'm part of a big crew. That's why in May we're gonna be back in Orlando. We got a big party in Orlando in May 7th or something.
Okay.
So we got great things going on. Peace to Kingdom Come has a show next weekend right now in Miami. So Kingdom Come is coming through. He's part of the family. So we're doing great thing. We got a lot of hip hop artists in our family, and I'm just one of the troublemakers. Doing what I do.
Making the right kind of trouble, shaking it up. Listen,
Great
okay, we need
music, so
that.
much new music coming through. I have to keep throwing. It's been a crazy time, but we got a lot of great music coming through. We're publishing it on all the channels, so just look up CTRAFFIK on all the channels. There you go. I'm trying to
Okay.
put my finger right here. Every channel
Hmm.
that has like a streaming thing on it, and I'll
Okay.
be on there. Put plus the Low Life Miami family, DJ Excess, and we got like Key to Life, and Flaco. We got everybody. We got Kiko. Kiko has a new single out, so peace to Kiko. And LeBronx James is just like hooked up with terminology, so LeBronx has got a lot of shit coming out. But
Okay.
it's just hip hop shit, you know what I mean?
No, that's what's
Yeah,
up. Yeah,
peace to LeBronx.
the culture.
Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody's working there, Chico Deluxe, everybody. Peace to all my
That's
fam. No, nobody's as anarchist or troublemaker as me, but we're like doing like hip hop shit. We're out there touring, performing in different countries and shit. Like last year in 22, like I did Acapulco, Brooklyn,
hmm
Asheville. I was everywhere like spitting, but I sneak in my bars. I sneak in my shit. I sneak in my
yeah,
shit. I gotta entertain people. You know what I mean?
of course.
Like my goal is if I can make the old ladies dance, I did my job.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like you gotta be entertaining. You can't just be a boring ass rapper. You know what I
No.
mean? That sucks. Like yes, y'all. You gotta you gotta entertain the people. You
Right.
can't be like analytical, super lyrical, like one of those
Yeah.
dumbass rappers. Um, yeah, no, I do fun music. You know what I mean? But the message, everything we just spoke about right now for the last 2 hours, we just spoke about like really deep messages.
hmm
Somehow I sneak it into the music. Somehow I get it, like I sneak in a little nugget or two, and
Right.
still entertain the crowd and still make it entertaining because entertainment is a gig. It's still a responsibility. You
Right.
can't be boring. You gotta be fun. You
To
know.
keep the attention, you have to, and that's like the best way is like you connecting with a crowd. You're touring, you going everywhere. You get to like get a mass of people
Music, music
that
matters.
yes listening to the music, and then you throw the message in the music like, and it's a good
And make
positive
it fun.
sustaining message. Yeah, because there's a lot of rappers out here throwing messages in music, and believe me, they don't those messages. I'm like, I wish they wasn't throwing them in the music. Like this is a bit much, you know what I mean? Like what are we talking about nowadays? But so
That's
that's
correct.
why like I said, when I was listening to your music and everything, I was like, this is music with a purpose. Of course, I wanted to talk to you, and definitely in any way I can to bring more eyes and ears to your whole like production and everything. I'm more than honored to do so. You are like somebody who is definitely giving back to society in a huge way, and yeah, man, like God bless you. That is so wonderful. I just and again, I feel blessed that I get to meet people like you now. Like life is so different, but it's more fulfilling. So thank you so much for this opportunity and this experience tonight.
No, peace and blessing. God bless your channel. I
Thank
gave you
you.
tons of homework. You wrote a bunch of things, so hopefully, like in future episodes, you get to explore some of these subjects.
Yeah, no, I wrote it down too. But the first one I'm gonna hit is Isaiah's job. That's the first one I'm
Woo,
gonna hit. Yeah.
woo.
So and
Oh
I'll
wow,
review
that's
it
it.
on his channel. I will. So
Oh,
yeah,
you're gonna do an episode on Isaiah's job.
yeah.
I'm
On
gonna
this
plug
channel,
that.
I talk about everything.
I'm gonna plug that channel, that episode. Then, if you do
Yeah,
your review of that episode, oh my
and
goodness,
I'll send you the link when I do it. I will, and it'll be soon because I want to just read it,
I'm gonna
just see
send
it
you the
for
link.
myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you the link. Oh my goodness,
because
that
I
changed my life.
yeah, this year that's the kind of changes, those kind of things I need to be reading to just keep sparking me, keep me going, And so thank you for sharing about that. So I will be like on this channel. I talk about everything. I talk about like pop culture. I talk about because, like you said, they want to be entertained, but when I put in the stuff about like the wars and stuff, yeah, they don't get as much views as the other stuff, but it's there. People, y'all know, go get what I mean. I spit knowledge in the things. I talk about a lot of different things. So, because I want the catalog to be where it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't know about that. Let me see what this is about. So we're still working
Oh,
on
we're getting deep. We're getting deep. Well, God
Yeah.
bless, man. You haven't, God bless. I'm a fan of the
Yes.
channel.
Thank you. So, all right, guys, we're gonna end it off for tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming. If you come by later and you watched all this, please don't forget to hit the like button because, of course, we still have to speak to the algorithm. It's just so crazy how we live out there. So,
You
but
gotta
yeah,
plug this into Rumble. Put it in all the other
it is.
channels.
It's all right.
So they
Like
don't plug it up.
it'll
We
go
talk.
into Rumble. I don't know if
We're all
it's live
greasy.
streaming. I don't know if it's live streaming on Rumble, but once it like pops up as already recorded, it goes to my Rumble. It does. So, because I had to get that backup Rumble because it was every 2 weeks. YouTube was like striking. I'm like, okay, I'm 2 seconds. Like, oh
Yeah, we
god.
were shitting on the Constitution. They're gonna shut us down.
No, they want us to do that. They'd be like, oh great. It's terrible. But I did talk about the Ukraine war too much. They might be mad about that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Oh boy. All right. So I'm about to end it, y'all. Peace out, everybody.